Hello there, and welcome back to my channel. Hi, my name is Emerald Hill, and this is where I review what I eat in a day as a fat girl. As a former fat girl, I've lost over 100 pounds. And I found this video that was very emotional, that was talking about something that I still struggle with to this day, even after losing 100 pounds and going to the gym and everything like that, is hinging, right? Or, eating so much that you get to the point where you feel disgustingly full, and that's kind of like a cycle that in her video she describes trying to fix for the past 15 years. And you know what? That's actually something that I've been trying to fix for the past 29 years. That's right, July 5th, I turned 29, feeling pretty good about it. Hinging is something that takes a really long time to be able to overcome. I just wanted to show you a couple of things about this video because it really outlined to me how we think that we can be really self-aware about what's going on in here and what's going on in here, but even if we're describing these things, we actually really aren't self-aware enough to pinpoint what's actually bothering us and what's triggering us and what's making us do the things that we're trying so hard to avoid. Without further ado, let's turn our attention to Amanda.
What I eat in a day, but emotional edition. I'm gonna start by chugging a shit ton of water. I think that that's a good way to start the day. I'm not hungry.
And instantly my heart goes out to this person. I can see that she's really upset. I can see that she's having a really hard time, very dysregulated. I'm just gonna move forward with this video with grace. We want to be helpful to this person.
And I'm not hungry is because before bed last night, I just lost control. That's the only way I can describe it. Had to do the walk of shame this morning.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm very familiar with, is eating in bed and binging until I'm so full, so incredibly full. I feel it into the next morning. You can see what she said, the walk of shame. We've all done that before. I think if you're watching this video, you've probably had that moment where you're picking up sort of the shrapnel of the war that happened last night with food, wrappers everywhere. Sounds like a funny gimmick, right? But it really isn't. It really is that shameful feeling.
I still really wanted to make a good day out of today, so I made some pink pancakes for the girls and myself. I tried to make an iced coffee at home. It turned out so bad, so I got a small ice cap. This is my little mom look of the day. We're already at our second park. I got a Diet Pepsi because it was so hot.
So I think that is a really great mindset, right? Trying to restart, having a great mindset, having a positive disposition. I want to make the best out of today. I have people that are kind of depending on me to make sure that I stay in my positive self so that they don't pick up on what's happening inside, right? Having kids. So she tried to make pancakes and they turned out beautifully with a side of fruit and a little bit of syrup. And then we're having a Diet Coke.
We took the longest walk. I hit 8K steps before 12.
That's amazing. 8,000 steps before 12 is awesome. Now it's just like free sailing to get to the 10,000.
Stopped at McDonald's for lunch. I got a burger, a drink, and my sister and I shared some fries. She was grossed out at how greasy it was, and I was just like, give me 12, please. Random.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that can be the tricky part about going to McDonald's, especially after a binge day, is that craving. Kind of like if you've had like a binge drinking night, you kind of want that hair of the dog, right? To sort of like replenish it and get the system back in order because it's used to having alcohol in it, right? It's kind of the same after a binge. Your system was overwhelmed with the stuff and now it's kind of seeking it again, so it can kind of be a bit of a dangerous territory to go back to McDonald's and get more stuff like that. But now we're having cranberry juice, which is great. Cranberry juice is very antioxidizing. I know that it's I think that it helps with UTIs and stuff like that, so that's good.
Random, but my sister put me onto cranberry juice, so I had a fresh glass when we got home. So tonight is actually special because my sister and I are kid-free and we're spending the night at the spa. You know, it's weird, guys, because this is the day before I binged, and when I'm looking back at the footage, I'm just like, this was a good day. I was active. I didn't deprive myself. I ate regularly. And even for dinner, I feel like it was very balanced. We drank a bit, nothing excessive. So let me tell you about the food here. We first had an entree. It was a corn soup with bread and their homemade butter. We also each got a drink with that and we devoured it. There are some fat girl moments you might be able to relate to. So my arm being too chubby for the little bracelet that they give, and my...
Yeah, absolutely. There's been many a bracelets, many a necklaces that I've tried to wear, and they're like suffocating my hands or they're suffocating me, right? So I totally get that. Rings too. I had like one ring that I got in an airport once, and I never took it off for the longest time because it was the first ring in my life that actually fit me. There were so many like unhappy moments at like Christmas or just like trying on my mom's jewelry, and like I couldn't even get her rings on my pinky finger because that's how, you know, inflamed and bloated and fat my hands were as a kid. But yeah, I get you.
The robe not actually covering my cooch doesn't really bring me down, you know? I'm working towards it.
That is also the worst part. Is like, I always had this thought that like, oh, it's a robe, it should just fit. It's so devastating when something, especially when you have like that mindset, like it should just fit. It'll fit everybody. And then it doesn't fit quite right as you want it to. It does make an impact. There's been so many robes that I've gotten. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's just like a hard feeling.
Okay. For our next course, I'm putting on the screen what it was. I'm also so awkward filming in public, but I keep trying to pinpoint what went wrong today that made me binge the next day. But I think the lesson here is that a bad day tomorrow
Water time
does not erase a good day today. So I'm labeling today as a good day. And then we went and enjoyed the rest of our night.
I like 'em big. I like 'em chunky.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to review this video was not to actually look at the food that she ate during the day, but all of the little things that compiled to the next binge, because apparently after that day, she did have another binge. I thought it was so interesting that while she was reviewing the video, she was actually pointing out all of the things that made her uncomfortable or made her feel displaced or made her feel upset. And then at the end, she was like, I had no idea why I would have been triggered. So I wanted to go back and actually point out all of the ways that I think contributed to the next day binge. So we're going to watch it again.
Hungry? And the reason I'm not hungry is...
So first of all, we started the day feeling ashamed, right? She said I had the walk of shame, collecting all of the binge paraphernalia and throwing them away, right? So we started the day off feeling pretty shameful and upset already.
Is because before bed last night, I just lost control. That's the only way I can describe it. Had to do the walk of shame this morning. I still really wanted to make a good day out of today, so I made some pink pancakes for the girls and myself. I tried to make an iced coffee at home. It turned out so bad, so I got a...
That's the second thing. I tried to make an iced coffee at home. It tasted so bad, so I got a second one. When you're already feeling bad, all of these things are what contributes to feeling worse. So that's just like a little cherry on the pile that we'll point out even more later.
Small ice cap. This is my little mom look of the day. We're already at our second park. I got a Diet Pepsi because it was so hot. We took the longest walk. I hit 8K steps before 12. Then we stopped at McDonald's for lunch. I got a burger, a drink, and my sister and I shared some fries. She was grossed out at how greasy it was, and I was just like, give me 12, please.
That's the second part. So we've already felt shame in the morning, and then we hang out with our sister, who's obviously at a normal weight for her height and whatever. A lot of women compare themselves all of the time. And if your sister, right, is the skinny sister, there's a lot of comparison there. There just is, okay? You can't deny it. And so what's happening is that we're getting McDonald's, and she's saying that her sister is super disgusted and grossed out by the burger. Like, you can see, like, she's literally holding it like it's gross. Amanda person is saying, well, I could eat 12 of these. So there's already a character judgment. There's already more shame happening there. And so add that to the pile of maybe why we were triggered later.
Please. Random, but my sister put me onto cranberry juice, so I had a fresh glass when we got home. So tonight is actually special because...
And that is an indicator to me as well. So I'm gonna be guessing that maybe her sister is giving her advice to help with health and things like that. That is kind of like a little peek, I think, into their relationship dynamic. A picture speaks 1,000 words, and I want you to watch this next part. So we see her in her bathing suit.
Because my sister and I are kid-free and...
Look at that. They're standing together, and she zooms in, and her sister holds her hand. And as someone that has been at this person's size, I do not take this as like, this is me and my sister being cute, especially in the context of this video. I take this as her comparing the size of each of their hands together. That's how I take it. Because watch this, like even her sister is looking at their hands.
Are kid-free and we're spending the night at the spa.
And she kind of like grabbed it and tucked it away from her. So that's just what I'm seeing, but let's continue.
You know, it's weird, guys, because this is the day before I binged. And when I'm looking back at the footage, I'm just like, this was a good day. I was active. I didn't deprive myself. I ate regularly. And even for dinner, I feel like it was very balanced. We drank a bit, nothing excessive. So let me tell you about the food here. We first had an entree. It was a corn soup with bread and their homemade butter. We also each got a drink with that and we devoured it. There are some fat girl moments you might be able to relate.
Okay, so she's saying that I don't understand why I would have had a binge eating session later when I had a really great day. We started the day off feeling pretty shameful, and then we had pancakes and fruit and syrup, which is sugar, and then we had an ice cap, which is more sugar. So what that says is, regardless of the calories, there's going to be a sugar crash. And when we feel like our body feels down, you can kind of look at what's called the CBT triangle. Behavior affects your emotions, affects your thoughts, vice versa, all the way around. If your body is already feeling down, then our thoughts will follow with that and our emotions will follow with that. So she probably had a sugar crash, and maybe that's why they picked up McDonald's. So she's saying she had a balanced, healthy day. When she started with sugar, she drank sugar, and then she went to McDonald's and had a very fatty meal. Regardless if you have 1 or 12, it's a very fatty, high caloric meal. And so she might have had a sugar crash and then probably didn't feel so great after having McDonald's high in sodium. And the most balanced meal that we've had today is going to this place with their probably freshly made food and everything like that, right? So we've had the sugar crash, we had the fat crash, the fatty food crash, I mean, right? And then, we're here and we're supposed to be having a good time, but we already did a body check, comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. And now she's sitting there and she's like, I had a fat girl moment. My bracelet doesn't fit me. That's very displacing, right? That would make me feel incredibly uncomfortable, right? And despite the fact that it's only 2 glasses of alcohol, alcohol is a depressor. Right? So we had a sugar crash, we had a fatty meal that doesn't make our body feel very good, and now we're having a liquid depressor, right? So let's continue.
Too, so my arm being too chubby for the little bracelet that they give, and my robe not actually covering my cooch doesn't really bring me down, I'm like, I'm working towards it, okay? For our next...
Okay, so she's saying, these things have happened to me, I've acknowledged them, I've noticed them, and then she says, that doesn't really bring me down. Right? But why mention them if they didn't bring you down? And I think what's happening here is that everybody has what's called an emotional well. And every time that something negative happens to us or we feel bad and we don't talk about it, aka getting the emotions out, we just dunk it in the emotional well. And if your emotional well gets too full of things that you haven't processed, haven't been able to talk about, then it overflows. And I think that what's happening is that there's not an acknowledgement of the emotional well becoming overflowing, right? And then later there's the binge. I think that this person, what I've really noticed is that they're very dismissive and diminishing of their own emotions and what's really impacting them, which actually leads to the negative behavior they're trying to avoid, which is binging.
Next course, I'm putting on the screen what it was. I'm also so awkward filming in public.
So look at that. She's having a salad. What is her sister having?
But I keep trying to pinpoint what went wrong today that made me binge the next day.
Well, and then just add that to the pile, right? She's already feeling super uncomfortable. She had to take off her bracelet because it didn't fit. It left a red mark. She didn't feel comfortable in her robe, and she doesn't feel comfortable filming in public. I would feel really out of place with that. I don't know.
But I think the lesson here is that a bad day tomorrow does not erase a good day today. So I'm labeling today as a good day. And then we went and enjoyed the rest of our night.
I like 'em big. I like 'em chunky.
Okay, so I thought that last clip was really important because what happened was she went underwater and she popped up. And it was kind of goofy. And she said, was that cute? And her sister said, no. I don't want to say anything about her sister. I don't know anything about that person. We don't have any more information about that other than this video. I think that what you show people is the story that you're telling. And I think that last clip, that feeling that we were left with, was the feeling that she was left with. Was that cute? No. I think that the truth is that the reason why she had a binge session later was because of all of those compiling factors. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up was because we say that we're so self-aware and that we know ourselves and that we're mindful about ourselves. She was literally describing all of the reasons that would be validation for leading to a binge. And she even said in the video, but I have no idea why. I have no idea why I would do that. And I compiled a couple more videos that she shows that I wanted to kind of show that also probably compiled to this feeling of needing to binge. So let's take a look.
You guys on how much I lost this month, and it's not a lot. It's actually none. So on June 1st, I was 269 pounds. And then on July 1st, I was 269 pounds, which means that this month I have nothing to cross off because I didn't lose any weight. But silver lining, I also didn't gain any weight. And so the loss for the total of the year since I started my weight loss journey on January 1st, I've lost 6.6 pounds total in the last 6 months. So obviously, you know, being on a weight loss journey for...
Okay, so this is something that I really struggled with as well, was staying motivated when the scale isn't budging. I've been 180 pounds for the past couple of months, and I wasn't able to fit into this very dress a couple of months ago, but my weight has stayed the same. And that's because I increased my walking and I increased my gymming, and I increased my protein. So that's called body recomposition. So what I would recommend for this person is to measure yourself and to keep that in mind, because the scale doesn't tell the whole story.
For 6 months and only losing 6 pounds when you're like 250 plus pounds is a little bit disappointing. But I'm just thinking about like this time last year, where last year I gained 40 or 50 pounds. A little bit discouraging, not gonna lie. Clearly I'm struggling with losing weight. I'm struggling with my, you know, my relationship with food. I think it's very obvious. Maybe this is sounding like excuses. Maybe it is an excuse. Maybe I need to like actually really make it a priority. And for the month of July, I have increase my goals a little bit more significantly. I don't know if that's maybe not the best move. I'm actually not quite sure at this point.
This is really important in what I was going to kind of point out for this recommendation. I think it is really important to have either a mental health professional or some kind of coach to be able to bounce these thoughts off of, because the truth is that we regulate ourselves through relationship. What she's saying is like she's asking all of these questions into the universe or into the internet. But the internet is kind of like, you know, you get a lot of information, a lot of different things, and that's really great. But at the end of the day, it is really important to have a friend or a trusted person that you actually feel has your well-being in mind and can actually give you logical information and responses to these questions.
But I just feel like, you know, we're 6 months into the year. I've tried a bunch of stuff over the last 6 months. I've had the results that I've had, and now I kind of like want to change it up a little bit and make the last 6 months of the year count even more. I want in 6 months to be able to look back and really see not only progress, but see that I really put in the effort and that I worked hard. If I want my health to be a priority, I have to make it a priority, you know? So that's the update for this month. There was no loss, but there was no gain. And I'm really hoping to have a better update.
The number one priority is to get support in this and to have somebody to bounce these ideas off of.
For August 1st. So I will see you then. Bye guys. So I'm really fat and I have like very...
Okay. So the reason why I included this video in this video is because I think that this is an insight into Amanda's self-worth and how she thinks about herself and when different insecurities come up. She's about to tell us that she's very insecure about her armpits, which makes sense. This is something that I'm also very insecure about, my armpit fat. Michelle McDaniel even admitted like she gets insecure about her armpit fat. It's a very common thing to be insecure about. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is to kind of precurse why she maybe had a really hard time that day swimming around, because she was in a bathing suit and it's a tank top, so there's going to be some armpit fat, right? So maybe that can be an insight as well into her thought process. She put her arm around her sister. There's probably a lot of comparison happening there, right? And then that, a lot of insecurity, okay? And the reason why I'm including this video is because I wanted to also kind of shed a light on how trauma impacts binge eating. And trauma impacts our self-image and our self-worth. And so if you're not okay with like sexually explicit stories and stuff like that, maybe just skip to this part of the video. It's not like really detailed, but it's detailed enough that if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. But let's get into this part.
Puffy like in my armpit, very puffy like armpits. I don't know how to explain it. Like there's a lot of skin here and it's like a big insecurity. And I was thinking about that insecurity and how this guy that I was seeing for about a month, the only way that he was able to finish was if he was doing armpit stuff with me. And you know what? I think that's all the motivation I need to just kind of accept where I'm at with that part of my body this summer, you know? I really do avoid tank tops because it's just like I'm insecure. This guy couldn't get enough, you know? Like, really got him there. And the thing is that I have a mole on one of the sides of my armpits, right? And this guy would always go like to the non-mole one. And I low-key started getting offended because I was like, damn, like you're discriminating. Like it's just a mole, you know? Like, anyway, you really need to learn to turn negativity into positivity. It's the only way to go through life.
So I think that that's a fantastic stand-up comedy bit. But I think that this is also a reason why she needs to talk to a friend. Because if you paid attention to that story, she was only with that guy for a month. Didn't last, right? Can't imagine why. This is a body part that she's already very insecure about. And what she said is he couldn't finish unless he did that to my armpit. That does not make a woman feel very good. I can't imagine how that would make her feel. She said he couldn't finish unless he did it to her armpit. So like there was no time. I mean, I know that she's trying to lighten it up, but I'm listening to how she's talking about herself, about her experiences, about how she feels about things, and the diminishment and the dismissal is a theme that runs throughout. And then she actually started to blame herself even more, become offended at the fact that one armpit wasn't good enough from the other, right? There's this cycle of not feeling good enough, of feeling down about yourself, of talking negatively about yourself, about letting these things happen that puts you even further and further down, right? I think that is a really great indicator of how she was feeling about herself that day. That's a really vulnerable thing to tell people, especially if you don't feel good about it. I think that that is a huge indicator to an insight of how this person views themselves. But this is another thing that I wanted to point out, okay? So she was just telling us about this armpit story, and if you notice, she was wearing those blue headphones and a black shirt. And now she's telling us, she's about to tell us that she's in the middle of a binge and she's wearing the same clothes.
And I'm already like so bloated. I look pregnant. I literally look 9 months pregnant. It's full. This was like mid-binge, which I never usually film. Because while I'm binging, like I don't really want to feel guilty. It's like my high moment. It's when I get to like just eat. The guilt comes after. But I just feel so like sick. I can't even finish my 2 chicken nuggets, but I probably will. And then I'm gonna go on to the next thing, and I'm like so tired of dealing with this, honestly. Like I just feel so gross. I feel so gross. And this is like, I already had dinner. I already had like, I ordered McDonald's and that was like it was a combo for 2 people. And I ate it all with dessert and coffee. And I'm just like, bruh. Like, just stop. At a certain point, just stop, right?
Yeah, so there you go. What I'm noticing is that it is actually daytime, because you can tell because there's light coming in through the window. But we're in our hidey hole, right? We're like a herd animal. We're in the dark. We're alone. So I think that what was happening was that she was having a self kind of negative spiral, and then that triggered this binge. She has an adorable, beautiful house. There's so many cute things and she keeps it really well, but let's see.
Here, my name is Amanda, and I've been trying to recover from binge eating for the last 15 years, really. I'm coming to the conclusion that the day after a binge is probably more important than the binge itself. This morning, I really felt like I was sitting at a crossroad and I had to decide whether or not the binge cycle was going to continue, and that was going to be determined by what I do today. So the very first thing I did was take a nice long shower. It felt like I was just washing away everything that happened yesterday, and it really felt like a fresh start for this morning. Fun fact, the morning after a binge, usually you're not very hungry because you
The day after a binge is really important. What I would recommend is recognize where your mind is at, and then that is where you say, I'm going to binge later. I need to start my next day binge routine, right? So do all of that before you do the binge, and then see if you want to do that, right? So do the skincare, clean your space for an hour or two, go on a walk, hang out with some friends, dress in something cute to make yourself feel good about yourself before you do the binge.
like stuffed your face right before bed, but I made sure to drink a lot of water because I was feeling groggy and just very bloated. So I also took the time to do my skincare. I even put on a little bit of mascara just because I'm feeling down. I'm feeling guilt. I'm feeling shame, and self-care kind of just counters that for me, I guess. Next on the list was tidying up my space, because when my home is clean, I just feel better. So I set my timer for 1 hour, put some headphones on, and I purposely avoided true crime or anything that could be triggering. I just really wanted to stay in a positive mood. If I'm being honest, like this whole day, I'm fighting the urge to order McDonald's and binge again. Like that's what's going through my mind. If I'm not doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it is like an addiction. It is kind of like alcohol. You want the hair of the dog, but it's very important that you're doing exactly what you're doing, which is refocusing your attention on things that make you feel good about yourself and accomplished.
Yes, if I'm not filming this video, that's what I would be doing. I would be binging again today. But the point is that I didn't do that because I did all these things instead. So when the hour was up, my house was nice and tidy, felt really good. Recently thrifted this baseball bat in case anyone wants to play in the middle of the night. Then it was time to get dressed, and body image is very poor the day after a binge, and I was certainly feeling it. At this point, we're approaching lunch. I'm not hungry just yet, but I had a lot of fresh oranges that were...
And that's why I think it's really important to dress in something you feel is cute and kind of loose fitting, right? Cute and loose fitting to make you feel good about yourself. If we dress in gray and dark, then we're more likely to feel gray and dark. Maybe having like a floral dress or something like that that's loose and flowy. Your stomach is really sensitive. I find after a binge, I find my stomach is really sensitive, just anything touching it. And you feel very inflamed and bloated. So having something that's loose fitting but makes you feel really good.
Just chilling there, so I decided to make myself a freshly pressed orange juice. Also, today's a vacation day for me, so I'm not working, and I also don't have my daughter, so normally this would be a prime day for binging for me. But we're not doing that. I even took my vitamins and supplements today. Okay, then I wanted to try and go outside and just sit with my emotions. Okay, and I think I lasted about 15 minutes. I didn't think of much because I was pretty high, but I did it.
That's another thing. I'm Canadian, so I'm very familiar with marijuana. And I think that's something that a lot of Canadians struggle with. A lot of people that smoke marijuana use it as a way to decompress from anxiety. And that's how it was marketed for a really long time, that it can help with anxiety. It's kind of like a relaxer. But the truth is that if you're trying to self-reflect and sit in bad feelings, you're not going to be able to do that while you're high, and that's what she said. I didn't even think about very much because I was so high. So when you're doing self-reflection, you really have to be sober for it, because that's when you're going to get the most benefits to it. As well, for myself, I get the munchies, right? And as a binger, as somebody that really struggles with overeating and munchies in general, that can be a trigger for me as well. I would kind of recommend, like, if you really like smoking weed, then you should try to do it on a walk and don't bring your wallet until you've come down from the high, because the munchies, they can strike you and you can just go ham, and that will kind of like lead into the cycle of the binge and not feeling very good. That's all I'm gonna say, is even budget your snacks when you get high, right? Have the snacks like a huge watermelon or something to compensate for that, because that is a struggle that a lot of people deal with.
I was also really surprised with my step count so far, because I didn't go outside yet and I was already at 4,000, and I think I got a sunburn. You guys saw me put sunscreen, but I got a sunburn. After my meditation attempt, I was feeling hungry, so I made myself a cream cheese bagel because that's exactly what I was craving, and it's really important.
Boom! There you go. She said I was super high, And then I came back in and I had a cream cheese bagel, which I was craving. It's really important to stick to your meal plan, which should be high in protein, right? And I don't think that having a bagel with cream cheese is a terrible thing or whatever, but we should have a side of protein that goes with that. Eggs, or not bacon, God, not bacon, chicken, anything, but having that with it to help make the bagel really feel satisfying and filling, right? I don't think there's anything wrong. And as she's going to say, it is really important that after a binge, you don't restrict yourself because that could cause another binge. But I also think that it's important to prioritize your protein, right, to kind of continue that wellness cycle. But I also wanted to point out the self-deprecation stops nowhere, because in her title she says, "Please excuse the saggy boobies. I've been seeing too many perky ones, yada yada yada." Just like negative self-image, poor self-talk, like all of this stuff. She's just like putting herself down at every left, right, and center. And that's the other thing about being an influencer, and that's kind of why I've taken myself off of social media for a little bit, is because when you're chronically online, you're chronically seeing the most beautiful people ever in the history of the world, right? And a lot of them are enhanced with AI or filters or whatever. She's saying, "I've been seeing too many perky ones, blah, blah, blah." So she's just constantly comparing herself all of the time. So I'm going to guess she was sitting there thinking about that terrible relationship experience. And then also scrolling online, maybe to distract herself and seeing all of these beautiful bodies and comparing herself. That would lead to a binge. And so what I would say is let this echo in your mind. Relationships regulate us. We regulate ourselves through relationships. You have to have real life friends and real life people that you talk to. You are made up of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. Do you have 5 people that you hang out with that aren't children or your sister? You need a support system that wants you to do well, that wants your quality of life to be what you want it to be. You have to hang out with people that have similar mindsets and similar goals to you so that they can be informed as to how to help you handle these things. That's the other thing, is that this person is alone a lot. You gotta find a support system that wants to help you do well. This wasn't a funny video at all. That's what I would recommend to this person, is having more of a routine and having a support system and friendship that you can really rely on, right? And actually take that side of yourself that is diminishing your feelings, that is dismissing your emotions, and cast it out. These feelings and these emotions are important to acknowledge because they lead to real consequences. Your behavior, which is binging. And the only way to negate that is to have a trusted person that you feel comfortable talking about that kind of stuff in the moment. When you were hanging out with your sister, you should have had a moment to say, "I feel uncomfortable because I'm comparing myself to you." Or, "I feel uncomfortable, I feel bad that this bracelet doesn't fit me. I feel uncomfortable because I felt like this robe should fit me, but it didn't." And that response from her needs to be, "It's okay, thank you for telling me. I think that this is about having a good time, and I'm really happy that we're doing this. Let's focus on this." Give yourselves like a chance to talk about it, but also acknowledge it in the moment, right? And then move on. If you just kind of keep shoving it away and putting it down, then you're filling your emotional well, and then it builds up and explodes, right? You have to have a soundboard that's logical, that you can talk to, that says, these things do not determine your worth as a person. These things that you want to do and the actions that you take to get there, that is what you need to be focusing on. I love you. I hope you're okay. I just want to give you the biggest hug ever. And I wish that we could hang out, but I'm also terrible at replying. I wish you all of the best, Amanda. I hope that, you have a wonderful rest of your summer and you have a successful next 6 months to your journey. All right, everybody. Tell me what you thought about everything that I talked about. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Did I step out of place? Let me know in the comments. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for watching. I love you.